Welcome to the Mother Daughter-ish podcast. It's your mama's favorite podcast.
And the podcast your daughter always wanted.
This is Miss Dawn.
And Angelique.
From the 713. Houston, y'all. Get connected and stay connected weekly as new shows debut on Sunday, Wednesday, and please check out our Saturday Out and About showcases.
Enjoy the show. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, and tell every woman on the planet that you know about our show.
Here's our show for today.
Hey, mothers and daughters, Happy New Year again. I'll be saying that for quite a while until I kind of get over the excitement of the new year. But guess what? I was wondering if you have done your budget for 2024. Well, guess what? If you have not done your budget, let's at least talk about it. You still have time. Today is only January the 2nd. And it's not like it's too late or anything like that. You still have time to develop a very, very nice, I would say a good honed in strict budget that will increase your spendability, if that's the word we want to use, for 2024. Now listen, I'm going to be talking from the perspective of how I do my budget, how I've taught my children to do their budget when it comes to savings, side hustles, or as I like to call it, hobbies that turn into income, and then things that you could think about investing in that would bring you in some dividends and monthly income as well. I do something very, 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 very simple, which is income and expenses. Very simple, which is your total income and your total expenses. And when I say total income, I mean every place that you get a steady piece of money from, okay? And I call it a piece of money because you should be getting a little piece here and a little piece there and a little piece there and a little piece there. So let's talk about creating your budget for 2024. If you have not done it, you still have this week to do it. We're just on the 2nd. You have up until the weekend to try to get it done so that you don't fall too far behind. And the reason why I'm saying before you don't fall too far behind, I'm just saying you have until the weekend because sometimes if we wait a week to try to catch up, it's harder to catch up. And it makes us feel a little bit stressed. But get you a little small calculator or use the calculator on your phone. Get you some pen and paper and literally put pen to paper and type it out. Once you have it typed out and worked out, then you can go and once you have it written out, then you can go and type it out and then print it out and use it from there. I used to do a 12-month calendar, which is 12 pages, of course. And then I would list what my monthly bills are. I'm going to go through your total expenses, but for right now, let's talk about your income. Income I put into 3 categories. I have what your salary is from whatever company you own or from whatever job you work at, traditional 8 to 4, 9 to 5. And then what are you doing in the digital space or as other funding that you can bring some dividends in on it. So those are the 3 categories that I look at. So if you want to say side hustles can be like your side job or your side business or your small business that you're trying to get, off the ground or, whatever like that, you can look at it that way. But I'm just giving you information on how you can kind of keep track of it all. I'm plugging in my computer because I saw that it was on 27%. I'm like, well, I'm going to talk to you for at least 20 more minutes. So, what monies do you bring in that's steady, that brings in a steady weekly, bi-weekly, monthly salary into your home? I always have taken whatever my main income is, and that's what I pay my small bills with, okay? And that money is just for that. Like, for example, when I worked in corporate America, whatever my check was, I always paid my bills with it first. Anything additional, outings, stuff for the kids, like leisure things, not major things they needed, but just like leisure things because all of their, bills were taken care of, from the other parent. So think about what brings in your basic, normal income. And when I say basic and normal, I'm not saying little money. I'm talking about that steady money. And then look at your side hustles. Now, during the pandemic, if you did not create a side hustle, or you did not create an additional income, or you did not create a small business, or you did not do something that you normally would have done as a hobby and turned it into a business, then I don't know what you were thinking about. You see how this young lady is thinking on the screen? And she look like she's meditating real hard on it. That's how you should have been meditating on your side hustle, or how you're going to do your additional income. And then dividends. Dividends could be that you have dived and learned how to work the stock market. It could be a small business that you've invested in that brings in money. It could be a contract that you completed for someone, and for you completing that contract, maybe they give you a percentage of it because you have to do all the renewals and the invoicing and all of those type of things. Some type of dividends that bring you in something from investment every single month is a good idea for you to be thinking about. So that's your total income expenses: salary, side hustle, dividends. Expenses is next on the list. And people get real tricky with this expenses thing because they think of expenses as what everybody else is paying traditionally, and that's not true, because everybody doesn't have the same bills as you. Like, I have gas, lights, and water, and my bills may be under $500 a month, you know? But then somebody else might have a $300 light bill, a $300 cable, internet, and phone bill, and they may even have a $100 water bill. So their expenses are going to be way more than mine. Their light bill might be $400 a month. I don't know. But I'm just saying, list out all your expenses. Now, sometimes people forget about the small things. For example, if you have an eating habit and you like to eat out once a week, is that $100 a month expenses where you got to count each penny? Is that monies that you're going to have to start pulling from your savings? Like, look at everything. Look at your rent and mortgage. If you're renting or leasing a place, you got to pay that every month to stay there. If you have a mortgage, you got to pay your mortgage. Along with rent, no matter if you're in an apartment or a house, you have to have insurance. So do you pay that annually or do you pay that monthly? Transportation. It's not just about a car. It's about the car note, the car insurance, the car maintenance, and the gas in the car. And then keeping the car clean. Doesn't matter if you let somebody hand wash it for $100 or you take it to the car wash and they do it for $50. It doesn't matter. It's an expense. Please write it down. Utilities and bills, we just went through that. Lights, gas, water. Okay? Your bills are also in your cell phone. Okay? You got cable. You got streaming services. Some people have cable. They have streaming services. And all of that. Okay? I don't have those expenses, so, I don't know what people are paying, but I know some people paying $300 and $400 a month for cable and for internet and streaming services, and then there's some people like me who we pay about $50, which includes our internet and our Netflix, and that's it. I'm with T-Mobile, and they have a $50 internet plan a month, and then they have you get Netflix free if you have more than one service with them. And that's the plan I've had for quite a while now. But I'm getting ready to actually cancel my Netflix. If they continue to go up, I'm going to cancel them because I don't have to have any of it. When I say none of it, I literally mean none. And then next on your expenses is going to be your food and groceries. You got to eat. Now, you can mix up food, groceries, and outings all together. Don't matter. Write down your expenses. If every Saturday you and your friends go to brunch, write it down. If on Fridays you and the fellas get together and go to the sports bar, somebody's going to have some food, somebody's going to have some drinks. Write it down. I was helping someone with their budget, and when we got done, after I did a 90-day review of their banking and looking at where they were spending money, they were spending over $1,200 a month on alcohol and out eating. $1,200 a month. That person's apartment was $1,200 or $1,300 a month. That person had other expenses like hair is $200 every 90 days. So the reason I say print out, after you write it down on paper, of course, print out 12 papers with each month on each page, starting with January all the way to December, so that's 12 pages, and write out your expenses, because some months your expenses are going to be lower than other months. Some months they're going to be higher than other months, because if you only get your hair done every 3 months, and it's $100, then that means it's not $100 a month. It's going to be whatever month it falls on. Fellas, if you get grooming services and haircuts and things like that, but you only get that done once a week for the haircut, but the other grooming stuff every 3 weeks, you got to figure out how to write that on the budget properly so that it's not, you know, on every single month because you're not using it every single month. Before I finish with this, I want to give you a scenario, and this is a real one. I remember when my oldest son got his first apartment, he asked me to help him with his budget because he just didn't see where he was having any money to do anything extra with. So I told him to email me over his 3 months of bank statements and let me review them. What his budget revealed was that he was stopping at the corner store every evening when he came home from work, and he was buying food at the corner store, $20, $30 every single day. He worked at the airport at that time in another little store, and he was eating either in the mall or at the airport, okay? You know airport food is expensive, okay? If you want to be able to look good and be beautiful and have, you know, nice things and dress well and be professional looking at work, $30 a day at the corner store every day and $20 at the airport or at the mall every day, that's $50 a day times 6 days a week times 4 weeks. That's a lot of money. Think about it. You know, we're talking $350 times 4 weeks almost. So that's crazy. My youngest son, I did his budget for him. This was before he was getting ready to move into his apartment because I told him, I said, do not move, son, until you have at least $5,000 saved. And that's after all your other expenses are paid. Your deposit on your apartment is paid. You paid your rent up for 2 or 3 months. That's after you got your utilities, you know, taken care of. You got all your moving supplies and everything. When you move in and put your head on that pillow that first night in your apartments, you should have $5,000 in your account. 2 reasons I told him that. One, if something didn't work out with his job, in the midst of him looking for the next right job for him, at least his rent would be paid up for 5 months. Okay? Maybe 4 months because we got to now calculate, you know, he would need food and all that kind of stuff like that. But that's kind of, you can do Uber Eats and get, you know, money for food. I mean, you know, these kids are hustlers. They know what to do. And so when I did his budget, he was working at FedEx at that time. And this was right during, you know, 2020, 2021. You know what was going on then. And I was looking at his budget and his banking. And he had 2 problems. His expenses was in dating and the things that they were doing, going out, buying gifts, you know, things like that. And this young lady that he was dating, she lived maybe about an hour or 2 away. So the expenses for the beltway, the expenses for the gas in the car, the expenses for the car running down, just money was just flying out. But his other expense that he didn't even recognize, because the other stuff he was like, yeah, I know. But the other expense he didn't recognize was that he was using the vending machine at FedEx every day, buying sandwiches and chips and cookies instead of taking his lunch. He started taking it after we did the budget, but he was spending about $25 a day on the vending machine, buying sandwiches and cookies. Okay, now it's not no little boy, so a little baby meal was not going to work for him. That's why I said you need to take your own meals, sandwiches, vegetables, fruit, whatever you take, because you can take as much as you want. You don't have to try to buy 2 or 3 times in the vending machine. And of course, those vending machines, even though they're at a job, they're there to make money. Third example, and then I'll get back to the budget because I want you to really think about creating your budget for 2024 and honing in on it and being able to have some more disposable cash this year, which would be really great because then you could, you know, do some more of the things that you want to do, start some more of the things that you've been wanting to start, and connect to the kind of ways that you have been wanting to connect. The third person is someone that found me through someone else, and she owned a child care center, and she had remembered somebody had told her that she really needed my services, but she did not take heed to that and call me when she should have, but she called me when she had to. I got a phone call one night, didn't know who it was, but I answer all calls. And this young lady was on the phone. She was very, very frantic and loud and talking real fast and all of that stuff, so I had to listen real fast. But she said to me, Miss Dawn, you helped so-and-so with so, whatever, and I need your help. I said, well, in a short sentence, it's 8:30 at night, in a short sentence, tell me what the problem is. You know, I don't have money to do this. The pandemic has done this. We're in this situation. I'm 5 months behind on my rent. I haven't gotten any, what is it called, PPP money or anything. And it's not because she didn't apply for it. They denied her, and she really needed it. It's so funny to me that the people who I talked to who really, really, really needed the PPP money could not qualify. But the ones who lied on their paperwork, they got tons of money. This young lady had proof of a business. This young lady's been in business for 11 years. This young lady is in an area that there's a need. This young lady, she could prove that her business was really hurting. And she had over 100 and something children. So she, if anybody else, really needed the money. So she said, my rent is 5 months behind and the people are threatening to put the padlock on the door. And the first thing I thought was, how close are you with your parents? And she told me that. How long you been renting that space? She told me that. Have you had anybody to look over your budget to help you get that together? Because this is a budgeting issue. This is not a daycare issue. You told me how many kids you have. You told me you're on all the different subsidy programs. You told me everything that I see where you're bringing in money. And so I knew already before I went there what the problem was. So we met that night, and I made an appointment to be at her daycare at 5 o'clock the next morning. I was there. A few minutes before 5, she was there. I got in. She laid out the bank statements. And I said, well, you brought them to me last night. You didn't need to lay them out. I looked over everything. I stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning looking over your budget. And it was very easy for me to see where the money was going. Well, she had commingled her money from personal and business, which you never want to do. So if you do have a business and you are doing that, I'm going to ask you to possibly just don't do that anymore. Cancel the way you're doing business on that end. When I looked in her bank statements, out of the daycare tuition and subsidy money and everything that's supposed to only be for the business, not personal, she was paying her personal car note. She was paying her personal house note. She was paying for her children's shopping, her hair appointments, her nail appointments. All of her personal expenses were just coming out of business. And I get it, because I know when people open up a business, they go, I am the business. This is my business. That's my money. And they don't pay themselves a salary and separate themselves and run the business properly. They just take from the company. No, put yourself on a salary, and if you have to give yourself an increase every time the business finances increase, fine. But pay yourself a salary. The other thing that I discovered is that I saw too many cash apps and all that stuff. So I said, well, what's this? I had everything highlighted in red pen. The paper looked like it had been through some things overnight, and it had been, because every time I discovered something, and I had like 16 pages of notes, and I just started going down my notes. We spent hours and hours and hours with me saying, let's clean this up, and I'll tell you what else we did. She had been paying her employees on Cash App and Zelle, so that tells you right there, you're not paying taxes, okay? I don't know why the employees accepted Cash App or Zelle, because when they get ready to file their income taxes, it's going to be real, real, real weird. So she paid her employees on Zelle and Cash App. Inappropriate. I told her, you need to do this, 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 and this, and clean this up. Employees have been disgruntled because sometimes they didn't get paid, which is not fair. And I just want to say out there to every business owner, 1, nobody cares about your business like you. 2, the dream for you starting that business was your dream. It was given to you and dropped off in your lap to materialize. 3, it's not the responsibility of your employees to grow your business for you. They have a job with a job description, and if they do it right, the business will grow. But it's your job to market. It's your job to care about your business, because nobody cares about your business like you do. which is one of the reasons in my business I started traveling and doing my work from any corner of the earth, because in all the years I've ever done anything, nobody's ever asked me, so where are you? You have to do my work in Texas. That's just the dumbest thing ever anyway. You should be able to be location independent. And if you're not, then you may need to change the way you do business. But I helped her get that cleaned up. And then what we did is we did a little 1 week campaign. I had her to first, right there in front of me, I wrote out what I needed her to say in a script to call her landlord and ask them to please give her 8 days. Do not put the locks on there for 8 days. We buying time, y'all. So they agreed, and it was okay. She gave them, some money, got a receipt. Because after I did the budget, I said, well, you have this. I know you owe this much, but you have this much to give them. So she was 5 months behind. She owed like $35,000. Like, you have this much money, $8,000 you can give them now. Take care of them, to let them know this kind of like a promise that I'm going to some kind of way start to catch this thing up. So then what we did is we did a campaign with the parents, and we asked for the parents to pay their daycare expenses in advance. Some of them could pay for the next 2 weeks, some of them could pay for the next month, just to have something in writing where the parents are helping to save the daycare too. So that worked out well. I gave her a name of a company where she can go ahead and start getting the employees paid properly. Like Paychex is a company that will help you to get all of everything together, and they'll even do the end of the year, tax forms and all that stuff to send them out so they can go do their taxes with their W-2s and all that stuff. Then the next thing we did is we looked at all of the programs, the services, the outreach, the education, the leisure, educational field trips and everything that they were doing there, and put a program together where those expenses would be paid either by the parents, or she could set up a nonprofit entity and get sponsors and community leaders and things like that to help pay for it. So we did set up the 501c3 nonprofit. And then the next thing I did is I consulted with her for the next 90 days to make sure she stayed on track. Now, let me tell you something. Because she's not an excellent, disciplined business owner, she fell back into a trap of falling off after she started making tons of money back again, and everything was fine and everything's running smooth and she's on track with everything. One of the programs that was bringing her in about $7,500 a month, she just completely neglected it. And when I say neglected it, she just didn't even turn in the paperwork to get the invoiced money back. After trying to work with her another 3 months, and I saw that she just was not disciplined, I let her go. I sent her a nice little my time is done here letter. I sent her every document that I'd ever had in a folder on her. Of course, I have copies of everything, but I sent her copies of everything that we had worked on, the plan that we laid out and all of that stuff. And here we are 3 years later, and I don't know, what she's got going on or anything like that. I'm just saying, call me when you need me. That's great. But if you want to stay that way and you don't have to continue to call on people at the last minute, if you hone in on your budget and you let your budget really own you, and all I mean by letting your budget own you is that you really pay attention to it and you don't neglect your budget, I promise you can have anything in the world that you want. Especially if everything that you do as an offering your services or your expertise, if it solves a problem like Pastor Mike Murdock over in Dallas, Texas, like he says, if you can solve problems, you'll never be broke. So if the job that you receive your salary from, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, is a job that solves problems that you know how to solve, you're good. If your side hustle solves a problem, you're good. So let's say your main income is Monday through Friday and your side hustle is on the weekend. You pretty much got it going on. And imagine if your main income is a work from home job and your side hustle is a work from home job. If you can't get that together, I'm telling you right now, you need to go all the way back to the drawing board and start with discipline. And then once you get more discipline, come back to the budget. That's why I say you got until the weekend to not fall so far behind that you won't be able to catch up. Because that's typically what happens when people don't take action immediately, is that they fall behind and then they don't want to do it. It's very typical. Okay? So for your income, create the salary, create a side hustle, and then you have your dividends. People to ask me, well, what kind of side hustle should I do? I'm going to give you a little warning right now. Never ask any person that you're not already masterminding with what type of side hustle you should have. But I will tell you what type of side hustle you should have. It should be whatever you're doing as a hobby right now, turn it into an income earner. If you're making hair oils, sell it online. If you're consulting, get clients and consult with them. Let me give you a tip. If you offer a particular service, find an association that connects you to the individuals that offer particular things or need what you have. Join that association and promote your business. Your side hustle should be whatever you can do in your sleep without anybody telling you how to do it. Okay? Now, back to the budget. Expenses. Rent and mortgage, transportation, plus, which includes like your insurance and maintenance and gas. If you want to go out to dinner, then go dinner. Get dressed up, look pretty, go have coffee with friends, brunch, but you better put that in the food, groceries, and outing category. Make sure you get to your computer and you type this all out after you've written it all out. But you got rent and mortgage, you got transportation, all the expenses with that. Insurance is for rent, insurance is for transportation, utility bills. And here's one other thing that you may not be thinking of. Every job doesn't offer insurance, and I'm very aware of that. But if you have a job that does not offer insurance and you have to pay for insurance on your own, that is an expense. So you need to include that expense because, like, for example, my insurance is a couple $100s a month. So that is an expense for me for my health insurance. You know, I thank God that I'm not on any type of prescription medications or anything like that because, again, that would be an expense. I don't care if it is a discount program and you can get it for half price. It's still an expense if you got to buy those medicines every week. Every month. So think about all those things that you're spending money on. Think about when you go to the store to get products for hygiene and products for your hair, and you go and get a couple of little t-shirts and you go and get some underwear and things like that. That's money that you spent. And another thing I'll leave you with, save your receipts for everything. Oh, and I'll share this with you. If you want to really keep track of your receipts and things like that, there's an app called Fetch, F-E-T-C-H, and you can scan in all of your receipts and it'll tell you what your monthly expenses are. And then also they'll give you gift cards if you scan in enough receipts or whatever. I'm just getting kind of the hang of it. I'll do a show about it, when I get a little bit more of the hang of it. But that's my show today on creating a budget. Again, today is only January the 2nd, so you do have more time. Take that time and figure out how you cannot feel like you don't have enough money at the end of the month. Or as they used to say, you don't have enough. What that saying is, you don't have enough money for the end of the month or month of money. I don't know. But anyway, not feeling like you don't have enough money for the end of the month. But create your budget on paper first and then type it out so that you don't have to try to make corrections and all that after you've printed everything. You don't want to waste paper. But that's my show for today. And get out there, create a budget that works for you. Bye.